All right, so we're talking about the harvest of hope, and before I get started on the hope part, I kind of want to focus on the harvest part because to be hopeful, there's steps before. It's not like you get saved, everything's going great, and you're always hopeful, you're always everything's perfect. There's things you have to do, just like farming. You got to sow first, you got to do the work to reap, hope at the end. And Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego knew this very well. They had been through a lot before this point, but to keep it short, I'm going to skip to this. So, Daniel chapter 3, verse 16 says, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer thee in this matter. If it be so, our God, who we serve, is able to deliver us from this burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of thine hand, O king. But if not, be it known unto thee, O king, that we will not serve thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. So, right here, I really don't have to say anything. They did it for us when this scripture is being written. But, it says, if it be so, our God whom we serve is able to deliver us. So right there, it shows that they were faithful, they were hopeful. They knew that if it was God's will, that they would be saved from Nebuchadnezzar and from this fiery furnace, right? So verse 18, but they did have brains. They weren't just all like, well, God's going to save us no matter what. It isn't always in God's will that everything goes perfectly our way. And you might think that's a little harsh. You think God would save some of his best servants at the time from a flaming furnace that's going to burn them alive. But a lot of times, God doesn't really always focus on saving us. Our life isn't the most important thing to him. It's our souls, getting to heaven. The fact that they stood up means more. But anyways, that's off topic. Verse 18 says, but if not, be it known thee, O king. So, like I said, it's if not. They weren't guaranteed, but 17 is why they started. They started off hopeful. And even in 18, it was still hopeful. It wasn't they knew they were going to die. It was, I don't know, that kind of got me. I just wanted to say something about that. But verse 19, I'll just read the beginning. It says, but Nebuchadnezzar was full of fury. So the world won't always know how to respond to you being hopeful. It won't always be like, they're like, oh, wow, I just can't believe how he is with all that stuff. He handles it so well, or she handles it so well. It's not like that. The world they'll be mad, just like how Nebuchadnezzar responded, or sometimes they won't be mad, they'll shun you or whatever, and you got to be ready for that. And I don't know, I looked at a couple different things, and I had a hard time finding the difference between hope and faith, but I think Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego was a pretty good one, and it's a great story. We can learn so much from them. It'd probably be a good thing to go back and study if you don't know that story very well.